Okay, welcome back. So now what we're going to do is we are going to now look at the different types of Scottish texts that you could study or that you are currently that you will currently be studying. So when it comes to the Scottish text exam, there are essentially four different types of text that you could study. Okay. And what we have is we've got a list of the text that you could study. Okay, so you're going to be studying one of these texts. All right. So to begin, the first type of text that you could study is drama. Another way of saying that would be plays. So these are like these are those texts that are written in sort of like not script, but a play format. Yeah, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, like Shakespeare. Like think about Shakespeare like that. So in terms of the the dramas that you can study, at National 5, you can have Bold Girls by Rona Munro, Sailmaker by Alan Spence. Sailmaker is extremely popular. If you haven't yet been told what you're going to study, it's likely that if you're at Nat5, it's likely that you will study Sailmaker. It's extremely popular because it's quite short and it's quite easy to understand. And then Tally's Blood by Anne Marie de Mambro. In the schools that I've been to, in the schools that I've taught at three different schools. I've never seen this one be taught. I have seen Sailmaker taught many times. Okay, then you at higher you could be studying the Cheviot, the Stag, and the Black Oil, uh, or Men Should Weep, or Slab Boys. Out of these three, the most common that I've seen is Men Should Weep in terms of what students are given to study. And then second would be the Slab Boys, and then last would be this one. I've never seen this one. I've never seen a student study this one, so it's probability wise, you're going to be studying Men Should Weep, and then if not that, then probably Slab Boys if your teacher decides to do uh if your teacher decides to do a play, that's where it's likely it's going to be. Okay. Now, in terms of the next thing that you could study, uh, and the next thing you could study would be would be prose. This is the next type of text that you could study. Prose just means like fiction. Prose just means like a novel or a short story. It means like a book, basically. A book or like a short story. Okay, so in terms of the short stories, you can have those by Ian Crichton Smith, which are as follows: Red Door, Telegram, and so on. Again, this is for this is for National 5 and higher, so both. Uh, again, for both at National 5 and higher, The Cone Gatherers, this is also quite popular. I've seen multiple students study this text. Um, and again, at National 5 and higher, you have Jekyll and Hyde. This is probably the most popular, again, out of all of these texts. Jekyll and Hyde is probably the most popular, especially at a higher level. It's quite likely that you're going to be studying Jekyll and Hyde. And then you have short stories by Anne Donovan. This is for National 5. For higher, you have short stories by George McKay. And again, out of these, I've hardly seen this one. It's not very popular. Sunset Song is not so popular. A little bit not really popular. This Testament of Gideon Mac, again, it's not too popular. Okay, and then finally, in terms of poetry, and it's very likely that you will study poetry because it is like the easiest thing to study. So if you are going to study poetry, that's a good thing because it is, again, like I say, the easiest sort of text or format to study, easiest to memorize and so on, and it takes the least amount of time. So at National 5 and higher, you have Carol Ann Duffy. She's very popular in terms of text to study. And you have these poems by Duffy, War Photographer, Valentine, originally, and so on. At the end of this course, if you scroll down right to the end, I will have videos on each of these texts because, again, these are so popular. And then you have National 5 and higher, you have McCaig and his poetry. Again, McCaig is extremely popular. Edwin Morgan's popular, but not very popular. This is for National 5. Jackie K at National 5. I've never seen Jackie K. It's not too popular. Sorley McLean, I've only seen once, and this is for higher, and it's poetry. And then Lockhead is quite popular, so there's a good chance you could study Lockhead. Don Patterson, I've never seen, and then Robert Burns, even though he is a very popular sort of poet in general, I haven't seen too much Robert Burns in terms of students. In my opinion, it's likely that you're going to be studying either McCaig or Duffy. At Nat5, either McCaig or Edwin Morgan. Those are what you are likely to be studying. If you're studying and you're choosing your own text, then I would recommend to you that you choose McCaig. If not McCaig, and this is for both higher and Nat5, you choose McCaig. McCaig's the simplest. And then if not McCaig, you choose, if you're at Nat5, choose Morgan. If you're at higher, if not McCaig, then choose Duffy. Yes. And when you're doing this, the reason I say choose these, when you're doing this, again, general exam advice, when you're doing this, you want to choose the text that is simplest to study, takes the least amount of time, but still has a lot in terms of depth and in terms of material to analyze. And the poetry of McCaig and Duffy definitely cover all of those criteria. So that is what I'd recommend. Either study McCaig or Morgan if you're at Nat5. McCaig first, then Morgan if you're at Nat5. If you can only choose between those two. If you're at higher, study either McCaig first, or if you can't study McCaig, study Duffy. That would be my advice. Okay, so that is the text that you could likely get, or those are the texts that you can choose from. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to start looking at the sort of Scottish text itself in more detail. Okay, good.